Yeah, buddy, it's a big day out here in the Montana garage. Quick Performance Ford 9-inch assembly day. Stick around, you're not gonna wanna miss this. Look at it. Just look at it. Pretty. Let's start by showing you what's in the kit. I don't know if it's a kit, but it's, you know, everything you could want and need to build a Ford 9-inch in one box. Well, it didn't come in one box. It was like 3 or 4 boxes. I don't know. Anyways, let's show you what we got. First of all, we got this badass housing, and I don't know, maybe everybody's seen them before and it's just what it is, but I think this thing's pretty damn cool. I mean, look at the welding on this thing is amazing. And just, I don't know, I just like it. I like it. So we got the housing. It's got some, you know, bracing in here and some more pretty cool welding. And let's see, we got a couple axles, 35 spline. All right, hold on. I got to bust in here from the future and tell you that once again, the YouTube, or not YouTube, the GoPro gods were not smiling down upon me while I was making this 9-inch assembly video. I lost 4 or 5 clips. Somehow, some way, poof. Gone. I don't get it either. But I was right in the middle of telling you all about the 9-inch, what came in the kit. So I'm coming in here now to kind of fill this in because it's missing to GoPro space. I don't know. So anyways, it's maybe a little less effective because I can't point at the things and show you because the rear end at this point is under the car. Maybe we'll show you that as a sneak peek. Maybe not. It'll be later in the video or the next video or sometime in the future you'll see it. So I have on my phone here, I have the order I made just so I don't forget anything. So we already showed you the housing, beautiful. It's called the fabricated big web, new fabricated big web. So maybe there was an older design. That's a little bit of an upgrade. I did get drain and fill plugs. I think I do show you guys those here in a little bit. It's got 1/4-inch heavy walled axle tubing, leaf spring perches. I had them sent loose, new U-bolts and shock plates. No, I did not get either one of those. And this brings me to, this is a good spot to ask our Montana Garage trivia question. I did not get new U-bolts or leaf spring perches because I already have something under the car that works for that I ordered in a previous video long time ago. So the question is, what am I using for a traction device on the 55? So we have a leaf spring suspension. So what am I using to make sure this thing hooks instead of just spins and wheel hops and all that crazy stuff that you don't want? So that's the question. Put it in the comments below. Maybe I'll put a link up here to where I asked the first question so you can find out all the details, what you can win and all that stuff. Not going on every time, but if you're playing along, you should be playing along because I'm a small time channel here. There's not a lot of people commenting and answering. So you got a really good chance of winning the $100 from Amazon. So anyways, comment below if you know the answer. If you don't know the answer, go find it in another video, come back. Anyways, where were we? Didn't get powder coating. Custom housing width, I went with 55 inches. That's wheel mounting surface to wheel mounting surface. That's gonna be different for everybody, obviously, but in my setup with my leaf springs moved with the spring pocket kit and the back spacing I have on my wheels, that's what I needed to get the biggest tire possible I could fit under that. Let's see, center section upgrade. I got, it says Yukon Pro N case, what do you think is Pro Nodular case, aluminum Daytona support, 1350 billet yoke. So it has 1350 yoke, that's for a little bit bigger U-joint, I believe, so the U-joint can be a little stronger. Traction device, 35 spline wave track. I was gonna go with the Eaton True Track, and the Wave Track I think is a similar design, but just made from a different company, I believe. Anyways, I had several people recommend that I go with the Wave Track instead of the True Track. It was a little more expensive. I believe it has a lifetime warranty though. Quick Performance suggested that, or they said that the True Track would be just fine for my application with the power I'm making. But anyways, I went ahead and decided to go with the Wave Track based on several people's recommendations. So thank you guys for the recommendation. You know who you are. I got the lube blocker gasket, 5 by 4 3/4 bolt pattern. That's the standard Chevy. 1/2 inch by 20 by 3 inch screw in studs. I got the 11-inch brake kit. We'll go over that here in a little bit. You'll see me putting that on. Drilled and slotted rotors. And I did order a braided steel brake line kit to go with it. I think I'm not using it though. You'll find out all that in future episodes. So there we go. That's what I got. Quick Performance told me this build would be good for up to like 1,000 horsepower. I think that if you were actually making 1,000 horsepower, you would want to add a back brace to the rear end, and I obviously don't have that. But it's maybe a little bit overkill for what I have. Just got a small block Chevy, but I don't know. I was looking at it here the other day, and I never realized it, but it says right here, look at this, 1,000 horsepower. So I guess maybe I got exactly what I need. All right, we all know that thing's not making 1,000 horsepower. It's a little bit hopped up, but it's just a carbureted small block Chevy. It's probably making 300 and some horsepower if I'm lucky. I do know it does not make 1,000 horsepower, and I will never make 1,000 horsepower with this car because I don't have those deep pockets, but I do hope to someday upgrade and make more power. That's why I kind of went a little bit overkill on the 9-inch because I don't want to build another one. It should be the last time I ever have to do this, and it's beautiful, it's paid for. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. That's all about my 9-inch. Let's get back to putting it together. All right, I know people are gonna ask, so let's talk about what this thing costs. Now, you gotta remember, I'm a big time YouTube star. No, that's not true. I'm a normal guy just like you guys out there. I don't have any sponsorship. I didn't use these guys because they gave me a deal or threw me in a free t-shirt. I didn't get nothing other than what I paid for. And that's fine, that's all I expected. Anyway, the reason I went with Quick Performance is because once I started looking for a rear end, I heard nothing but good things about Quick Performance. No negative reviews, or maybe one negative review and countless pages of reviews. Everybody I talked to had nothing but good things to say about them, good customer service, good quality product, and a little cheaper than some of the other places. So once I did some research, I kind of decided this was the way to go. Now, I could have built it a little cheaper. I went with, bigger axles, disc brakes. So there's cheaper ways to do it. But the way I did it, what I have here cost me, I don't remember the exact number, but shipped to my door a little over $3,600. And yeah, that's not insignificant, but hopefully it's gonna be strong. I'll never have to do it again. So I figured, the heck, I'm gonna bite the bullet, build it the way I want it. And like I said, you can do it for cheaper. When I first started looking, I was gonna have it done for like $2,700 with smaller axles, a different center section. But then I just decided to upgrade a few things. I ended up, like I said, somewhere around $3,600. I do think it's ironic though, that something I spent $3,600 on comes with a piece called the housing. Because if my wife watches this and finds that out, I'm gonna be looking for new housing. But I'll deal with that later. Let's get this thing put together. Step number one, I guess, is gonna be putting some studs in here. We got two different kinds of studs. We got these bad boys for the housing here, and we got these T studs for over here where the brake brackets or caliper brackets and whatnot go. So let me find some tools and some washers, and we'll have to pull all these bad boys in. I had to get my seat down out of the rafters the other day for the roll bar in the car. And I bet you, Moose, how many times have I grabbed you and taken you off of there because I don't want cat hair all over my seat? What do you think, about 10? 10 or 11? Oh yeah, you should be ashamed. You know you're not supposed to be up there, right? Look at it, you can't even look me in the eye. You can't even look me in the eye. All right, you know what? One more time, we're going on down. Crazy cat. Guarantee you he's going right back up. All right, let's see if we can figure out the best way to pull these bad boys in. Stud in there. Got a couple washers, 3 on, just so I don't have to pull them down forever. I did use one of the nuts off of the T-studs because these studs come with lock washers, or lock nuts, and I didn't want to run them down and back off, so see if we get it started with this bad boy. Pull them in by hand. She's snug. There we go, I can kind of feel it going now. All right, finally made her. If you can see, we got her flushed in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more times to go. I knew it. Moose, what are you doing? I'm gonna have to cover this up, ain't I? Come on, down we go. What do you have to say for yourself? Nothing? Disrespectful.
Well, hello in there.
That was actually a little harder than I expected. I had to break up the old cheater bar to suck them bad boys in. The old right shoulder still isn't feeling too good, so had to have a little help there. All right, we just blew it out. and I might wipe it down with some brake clean maybe. And then I think it's time to drop the center section in, but I don't think there's any way I'm lifting that heavy thing up here. So we're probably gonna reset, get rid of my rickety table and just do this on the floor. Sounds like a plan. This seems pretty clean in here, but I figured it wouldn't hurt to give it a quick wipe down, blow it out one more time, and I think we're ready to put the center section in. According to the instructions, there's no instructions, so that's why I just think we're ready to do it. Put the center section in, I gotta put the seals in and the axles in, put the brakes on. I guess that's why there's no instruction. Pretty obvious, I guess. Clean as a whistle. I opted for the lube locker gasket. I think it was like a $20 upgrade. A lot of people, most people probably, from the videos I watched, just use like a RTV around here. But I did see a couple guys that ran into having to go back and fix it because it was leaking. So this is supposedly gonna make a good seal, and I think it's even reusable. So I opted to go with that. Hope it works. So you throw that bad boy on there, and you're ready to roll. One thing's for sure, this thing is freaking heavy. I don't know if I can get it. I had it out of the bucket once. I don't know if I can get it back out of there. I freaking have a hernia here. Let's see. She's a little jammed in, you know. I guess it's nice that they send it in a bucket so it's protected, but I had a heck of a time getting out of there the first time, and now it's, again, not wanting to come out of there. Dump it out method. Oh, success. What's under bucket number 1? Quick performance third member. That I just dumped in my dirty blanket. All right, let's see if we can something here. What we got? We got pieces of green Menards bucket. So I'm gonna grab a rag, clean off the mating surface, get some of this plastic crap out of here, and roll on. So we got a little bit of green plastic from the bucket, and then the mating surface just kind of oily. So I'm gonna hit it with some brake clean. I'll show you they put the yellow paint on there to figure out the gear mesh or whatnot. So even though there's no instructions and I got to figure this out and put it together, I mean, obviously they did the hard part. They got this all set up and whatever you're supposed to, whatever magic and, sorcery they use to get these together. They did that part. So that's the hard part. I'm just, putting stuff together like a puzzle. No big deal. All right, let's get this cleaned up. All right, I think she's clean. I'll have to see if I can't throw my back out or something doing this part. Seems reasonable that could happen. I guess it's not as bad as it seems trying to get it out of the bucket. Of course, my fingers like that's probably not the way to go. Twisting on to get it on the floor, I guess. All right, somewhere I have a hammer that might work. Not the one I was thinking of, but it is kind of a soft mallet type. Ugh. And also from the 60s, so probably not gonna work. Let me go find some. You don't want to go down in the old back. Up in front. Thought we were gaining on it, but it still didn't go down in the back. We're gaining on her. Spinny. Like I said earlier, I don't have any instructions, so I don't have any torque specs for any of these, but they gave me little lock nuts. I did watch other videos, and I'm pretty sure the couple I saw, the guy said 35 foot-pounds. I don't know if that sounds about right. I'll tighten them to that and see if that feels tight. And then other people had mentioned like needing copper crush washers on here to keep it from leaking. These guys don't supply any, so hopefully that means I don't need any. All right, we'll get these tightened up, torque down, and then move on to the axle seals. Snugged them all down evenly, kind of in a rotating pattern. And we'll see which ones we can get the torque wrench on. Be tight. We're ready to start working on the axle seals, but I just realized there's a couple other little options on this Rearend package that I didn't talk about. First of all, you'll notice it's not painted or powder coated. Like I said earlier, I have to weld the leaf spring perches on because I got to figure out how I want it for my pinion angle and whatnot. I'm going to assemble it, obviously. I'm going to install it, figure all that out, weld the perches on, and then I'll pull it back out and paint it. I'll probably just put SPI epoxy on it is my plan. But anyways, that's the deal with that. And then I did get, this is like a jack pad, and I got drain and fill plugs added in. So those are just a couple little options that you either pay a little extra for or a little less in the case of not getting it powder coated. All right, that's that. Let's get to the axle seals. All right, now we get to the part where a little bit of instructions would have been nice again. I watched a few videos of other people putting these together, and it didn't seem like there was really a consensus. About half the people gooped and gobbed a bunch of RTV on the seal, and about half the people didn't do nothing, and then the other half, I know that's 3 halves, put just a little bit of lubrication on it and then drove it in. If I remember right, back when I was younger, I seen my uncle do some of this kind of stuff, and he didn't put no RTV on there. And then lots of the comments were like, why'd you put RTV on there? The people that don't put RTV on there say they never had any issues with it not leaking. So I don't know what you think or what the consensus is or what the common thing is, but I'm just going to put a little teeny tiny coat of oil on here so it slides in good, and then call that good, I guess. I have my seal installation tool, which in my case happens to be a 1 13/16 snap-on 3/4 inch drive socket. Everybody should have one of those. Probably not. But it happens to be like exactly the right size. I'm just gonna try to drive her in there straight. Feels like something's happening. I don't think she's quite home yet. Feels like it might have bottomed out. Little tip, if you do use your grandfather's old giant snap-on socket that he used for, I don't know, 30 years being a diesel mechanic, to press your seal in, make sure you don't have a bunch of grease and dirt and goop in there like this one did, because now it ended up inside the axle tube. Luckily, I peeked in there with a flashlight to look and make sure I had this in there far enough and was able to fish it all out of there. But clean that out first, would you? And here's a view with the seal in there. I don't know if you can see the layer of orangish red. So that's that layer of goop that already is pressed on the seal. So that's my assumption why you don't need any RTV. I mean, that stuff kind of forms the seal. I think. Not an expert, but that's the way I'm doing it, and we'll hope it doesn't leak. We are ready to install the axles, and you'll notice the axle sitting there. One is shorter than the other. Then if you notice the housing, maybe hard to tell at this angle, but this tube is shorter. I thought that was some sort of mix up at first because I thought, well, I want my pumpkin in the center, but you can see the pumpkin's in the center, but then the yoke is like offset in that. So all 4 9 inches are probably like that, but I didn't know that. I was like, why are my axles different? Like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Anyways, I'm gonna grab the shorter one and throw it in there. All right, and this is where you find more kind of contradictory information on the old internet. Some people just threw it in like this. Some people, again, gooped sealant all over the bearing. A lot of people put a little tiny bit of oil on the axle splines here. That's just to help them engage or slide in, so I don't know if you need it or not, but we'll try that method. Just for the fish, you know, the halibut. Not only good automotive content, but you get a lame dad joke once in a while too from the old Montana garage, so make sure you tell your friends. All right, we got a little tiny bit of lubrication on there. Throw a little bit around where the bearing goes. So these are like sealed bearings. So from what I understand, they don't get lubrication from inside the axle. So that seal stops the oil there, and then these are just, they got their own grease or whatnot in them. So anywho, I am also gonna put a little bit of oil on this rubber seal so the axle slides on there real well. Doesn't gouge it or tear it or ruin it in some manner. And I'm gonna try to hold the axle up-ish, so I'm not putting a bunch of pressure on that seal. Try to. Alright, so now we're hitting, there's our... Hopefully there's not something here that I needed to know about engagement. Everybody seems like they just put them in, but... Of course, that ain't gonna work for me. Oh, there we go. I knew it was gonna work. I wasn't even a little bit worried. All right, and they show people banging them in with the hammer and such, but that pushed in. I don't know how far in it's supposed to go, so I'll probably give her a few tappy taps, but there's our bearing. I know it has to stick out some. Let me grab the bracket that goes on there and we'll see if we can tell how far that sticks out. All right, so here's the, well, I don't know the technical term for it. The thing, here's the thing that goes right here. Bearing retainer, maybe, caliper. I think the other thing's the caliper bracket. I don't know. This thing, see, it's got this little bit of a cutout here, and that's what, we'll call it the bearing retainer, because that's what retains the bearing. So somehow, I gotta read the instructions, but this goes in here and lines up with some bolt holes somehow. Doesn't seem like any of them do so far, but somehow it does. But I'm gonna give it a few tappies and see if that is gonna seat in there a little further. Oh yeah, a couple little tappy taps is all it took. And now that thing is in there. About the right amount of distance I'm thinking for that. So one axle done, or at least inserted. We still got to figure out how to retain it, but let's go throw the other one in. Hello. I didn't really need a tappy that one. I can feel it bottom out. Axles installed. So this is the part where we have a little teeny tiny bit of instructions. Insert the axles, check. Insert T-bolts, normally through the rear of the bearing, and install the axle retaining bracket. Axle retaining bracket. With the recess towards the bearing, with the 4 outside holes facing towards the rear of the vehicle. Right, obviously this is the rear of the vehicle. Up is rear. Which 4 holes are they talking about? These 4, I guess? Not an awesome picture. All right, so if these 4 can face the back, which would be up, where does this thing line up at? Yeah, we got some lineup action right there. Think that's right? Hard telling. Let me grab the bolts and we'll find out. All right, I think I got this bearing retainer bracket or whatever it's called figured out. We got the T-bolts through the rear end. We got the 4 holes lined up. We got the retainer portion faced the right direction, so it's holding the little slots holding the bearing in. And then the 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4 that they're talking about, face the rear of the vehicle. This is the rear of the rear end, so we got 2 facing rear and up and 2 facing rear and down. So I think that's how she goes. It's really hard to tell from their picture, at least my deciphering. But anyways, I think we got it right. Lock washers and nuts, torque to 30 pounds. Do the other side, and then we'll figure out the brake. All right, I'm back. I had one little hang up. There's always got to be something, right? So first strike for this quick performance 9-inch kit. The hardware they gave me for the brake kit is basically garbage. So you got these little T-bolts and these washers. It says right in the instructions to torque them to 30 foot-pounds. So first I started torquing and the washers started spreading out. So then I took it all apart and put some grade 8 washers in there. But then before I got to the torque spec, the bolts just stripped. So I went to the auto parts store, and of course nobody has any kind of T-bolts, or I couldn't find any. So I just went to the hardware store and got some grade 8 bolts, and I'm gonna make my own T-ish bolts. So we gotta do some grinding, and then we can hopefully finish putting this thing together. The reason they're shaped as those T-bolts is they won't clear the axle tube with a regular bolt. So like I said, I gotta grind off one thing flat, and then that's as good as a T-bolt to me. So let's get after it. Well, as you would guess, this went much smoother with hardware that wouldn't strip out before you got to the torque spec. So I got this side done. Still gotta do the other side, so I gotta grind 4 more bolts so they fit in the little hole, and then put that bracket on there, tighten it up. And then we have more of this brake kit here. The caliper bracket goes on somehow, so I gotta figure that out. And then think about dragging it into the car, I guess. Let's put the brake caliper bracket, is that what they're calling it? Install the upper caliper bracket. Upper caliper bracket. So I just bought like the cheapest disc brake kit that Quick Performance had, and I didn't get any emergency brake. I never used emergency brake. I thought about getting emergency brake just because if for no other reason, like a brake failure, you got emergency brake. But I don't know, pretty much everything I read said your emergency brake's not big enough to actually do much in that kind of situation. So I just went without the emergency brake. I never ever used one, and there's no kind of inspection here to make sure you have one. And it was cheaper, so that's what we did. But it did get disc brakes, obviously, and so this is the caliper mount. Upper caliper bracket. I already just taught you that. See, I already didn't even learn it, but you already knew that. So it goes like so, and at first I thought, man, look at that. The holes don't line up. I got the wrong stuff. Man, just my luck. And then I realized, no, it's right, I'm just an idiot. Because what happens is you got these bolts come through here, like so, and then you got, let's start with this one down here. And then you got a spacer. So once you put the spacer on, then you're in the money because it clears the flange on the housing. Well, bam, look at there. 4 bolts with the nylock nuts. That's what holds all this stuff together. And somewhere I got some tools to tighten this up with. Upper caliper bracket or knuckle destroyer, be another term for it. I'm bleeding. All right, it says to torque these to 20 pounds. I probably normally would just tighten them like so, but it means I got the torque wrench out. I'll throw it on there. Let's see what it might have to say. But, you know, they're probably tight enough. Just like so. And well, bam, there she is. Quick Performance Ford 9-inch. Quick Performance, baby. Mostly assembled. I didn't do the brake on this side. That's just got to come back off to go in the car. But I did do it on that side to make sure it all fit. And I couldn't help myself. I threw the wheel and tire on there. I kind of wanted to make sure it was going to clear. And it does. But oh, just barely. There's some wheel weights on there from getting the tire balanced. And those actually hit. So those either got to come off or they'll be self-clearance. We'll have to see if we can get some wheel weights on there. But that's it for assembly. I'm really satisfied with the product. Like I said, I only had 2 complaints. One, 0-ish instructions. It's easy enough to figure out, but it'd be nice to have a little bit of guidance. And then number 2 is just this hardware that came with the brake kit was pretty cheap and stripped out before I even got to this specified torque spec. Now, I did buy the cheapest brake kit they had, so there you go. But you think they could at least have some quality hardware in there. I would have paid 10 extra bucks because I had to pay 10 extra bucks anyways to go get the stuff, plus drive to town and wait in line. Anyhow, other than that, it all went pretty smooth. We will be throwing it in the car real soon, hopefully even later today maybe. But that'll be for another video, so thanks for watching this one. Make sure you leave me a comment, let me know if there's anything you would have done different, or if you got any questions about this rear end. Like I said before, ask me about my 9-inch. Come back real soon, we'll be throwing this badass piece of machinery and these big meats under there. I hope it all fits.